Hello Infiniteers, Professor Toybox here with a special video to celebrate reaching 5,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. Honestly guys, I am so grateful to you and to all of my subscribers and followers for supporting me over the years and for your feedback and your positive encouragement. Without you guys, this channel would not continue to exist. I'd probably still be building toy boxes, but I would not be making videos. You guys are the reason I keep doing what I do. And so to thank you for your support, I am returning today to one of my most popular video series, Toy Box Racing. You guys keep asking for more racetracks, and today I've got one for you. This is a recreation of Rainbow Road from Mario Kart Wii. There have been a lot of different versions of this track throughout the Mario Kart series, but this one is my favorite. Now, it is not an exact recreation. For example, there are no gaps in my track. I could have put gaps in, but then I would have to use the path-based race creator, and unfortunately, that doesn't allow for any split tracks or branching roads. And so I chose to use the regular racetrack creator. And because of that, this is one of the easiest racetracks to build. And you can even build this in 2.0 if you want. So first let me race it so you can see it in action, and then I'll show you how to build it. And I'm going to do all of this in one video. Okay, here we go.
Hey, Francesco.
This can be a pretty wild track. Whoa! Oh no! Already I'm off to a bad start. You might be wondering why I shot at nothing. I did that so I could get rid of that weapon. Hopefully pick up something better. Alright, here comes one of the tricky parts of the track. This is where it gets narrow for a little bit. Whoa. It's these little hills in here that can mess you up. Lap 2. Whoa! And with that, I took the lead. I'm sure that won't last. Whoa, no! The nice thing is it puts you after that stretch of track. Ah! So that you don't have to deal with it again. Oh no! Francesco, you're starting to annoy me, dude. Alright, we're catching up to him. Let's try the other direction this time. You can see this is a little trickier. Alright, final lap. Somehow we gotta catch Francesco. Oh no! I hate when that happens. That happens a lot on this track, by the way. Whoa! I can't believe I made that jump. Ah, that was close. I missed the weapon generator, though. Oh, man. He's right behind me. Alright, let's try the left branch again. I seem to do a little bit better with this one. Whoa! Oh no! Oh no! Oh, I still won though! Wahoo! Oh my goodness. So that is my recreation of Rainbow Road, and now that you've seen it, let me show you how to build it. Alright, to build this, I'm starting in an empty toy box, and the first thing I want to do is set the sky, and I'm going to put down a power disc. It's the 2.0 power disc for Star-Lord's sky, the RIP. And if you don't have this particular power disc, you can use any space sky, really. Just put down a sky changer out of here. There's a space sky in the Disney Infinity drawer under the properties here for this toy. There's all kinds of space skies you could use if you wanted. I think there's Groot's sky, there's a Star Wars sky under 3.0, so any of those would work. Alright, this is the orientation that I want. So this came up by default, which is good. So the racetrack is going to go over that way. And we're going to set the terrain theme. There's not a lot of terrain we're going to use, but Alien Planet's what I chose to use. And there's one more thing we're going to need. For the racetrack, I'm going to put down another power disc. This is King Candy's Dessert Toppings. It's a terrain theme power disc from 1.0. I don't want to switch my world to that. And this is going to give us the rainbow looking candy racetrack. And if you don't have that power disc, the best alternative would be to use the Golden Realm of Asgard theme. And I'll show you that when we get a little closer. Alright, this is a very vertical racetrack, so we need to go up a ways here. And we're going to go up quite a ways. Maybe even a little further. Alright. And the first thing we're going to do is just put down one piece of terrain we can start working on. And that's going to be this piece here. So I'm just going to drop this down. Okay, next thing we will do is we'll go up to the racetrack pieces. We're going to go over to the right. We're going to start with the wide racetrack starting line. And for right now, I'm just going to drop this back out over here. And let's set the theme on this. And again, I'm going to use the Sugar Rush theme. Set that to be my theme. And again, if you don't have that, you can use Golden Realm of Asgard. That's about the closest we have. Okay, let me pull up a screen grab here because I want to make sure I get this right. Okay, so the first track piece I'm going to put down is going to be, and actually that was not the start piece I needed. Sorry about that. It's this piece we're going to use. Let me put that down. And let's delete that piece. Okay, first piece we need is the racetrack split. And this is really important as to where this lines up. It needs to be 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it needs to be about there. And let me just go grab another piece of terrain here, just to make sure I measure that off right. This is how you're going to know what the spacing is. We're going to use this small floating cliff on the corner. So that's going to sit there like that. And our racetrack needs to come right to the corner of that, just like you see there, okay? And our start piece will go right up on the end of that. Just like that. And let me just double check. Yes. All right, and then we'll go back to the wide pieces. And now we're just going to start laying track. We're going to come over here to the wide section. And for this first piece, we're just using the, not the steep, the wide track start. We'll get to the steep when we go on the downside. All right, so there's the wide. And then a ramp. Like that. And we're going to put 2 of those in. Followed by the wide ramp end. And now we go over to the steep section. And we put that on. And then we start building a steep ramp. And we're going to put down 14 of these total. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we're descending quite a ways. All right, and then we're going to put in the steep ramp start on the end of that and put down the jump. All right, now in Mario Kart, this is where we have a gap. But because I'm using that racetrack start piece, because I want to have some branches in here, we can't leave a gap. So we're going to go ahead and just put our wide steep ramp right on the end of that, like that. And we're going to put down another 9. So 1, 2, oops, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that will be followed by the start piece, like so. And then from there, we're going to start circling around. So we want the wide track ramp curve right. And this is a huge piece, so lining this up can be a little bit tricky. There we go. And we're going to put down another one. And another one. So 3 of those total. followed by a long, wide track. And then we're going to put in some little rolling hills here, just to kind of make things interesting. And to do that, let me see here, we're going to start with the start piece. We're going to use the steep piece. So steep, wide start, followed by the bode. The end piece, rather. The shorter, less steep hill is called a bow for some reason. And then we'll do another set of these. The nice thing about this is if you're a little bit off course, when you hit these ramps, you're going to go sideways a bit, and that can make things very interesting. All right, and then another wide, long wide. And then this guy. And this is the split, and you can notice this is very hard to take that and follow that path precisely, because it's very narrow and turns very sharply. And so we're going to put down a little bit of terrain here to help us out a little bit later. You saw it didn't help me out a whole lot, but every little bit helps. Without any terrain down, that's almost impossible for anything but the AI cars to drive. But a little bit of terrain will make that usable for just about anybody. And then we're going to put this banked turn in here. And normally I don't use these because these banked ones cause the activity meter to jump significantly. But since we don't have to worry about that in here, so we're not putting a lot in this toy box, we can get away with it. Alright, so the wide track ramp curved left, that one has a bit of a slope to it. And then we're going to put just a very short little section right on the end of that. This is just a little spacer that helps line everything up. But it also gives us a flat section where if we wanted to, we could put in some speed boosts or weapon generators or something there. Alright, so then we start going upward from there. And then we're going to put in a short, wide section of track. And again, this is so if we want to put in any kind of a speed boost or something, which in my case I do. And then the steep start right here. And now we need to start going back up in order to connect to our track way up there. So we're going to grab our steep ramp, and we're going to put in a total of 9 of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, followed by the wide end. And then we're going to put in another short section here so we can add some weapon generators. And that'll be followed by our banked curve again. Alright. And from here we put in our steep start. And we're going to do another long ramp, and this is probably the longest one in the whole thing, because we need to put down 22 of these, which is actually going to take us up above that section there. So 1, 2, 3, this is exciting TV. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22, followed by the end. Whew! And then we're going to put in another short section of track. And this serves a couple of purposes, in case we want to put weapon generators there, and also to give them a little bit of a landing zone after they come off the top of that ramp before we put them into the next banked turn. Make sure that's lined up. And then we put in the big turn right on the end of that. And you'll see the activity meter goes way up in pegs. So that's why I typically don't want to use a lot of these banked things, because it just adds to the lag in the toy box significantly. Alright, next we need an intersection. And I want the, let's see. Yeah. Is it that one? Wait a second. I'm looking for the banked wide track. Wait, the wide track intersect left. Wide track intersect left. That's the one I want. Okay. Now we go back to the smaller sections of track. And on the left path, we want to put this track split in because we're going down to a single lane. This is the challenging part of the toy box. And if you don't like this part, you can just kind of skip this section if you want and just make a long straight section, but that's kind of boring. Just use more of the wide flat pieces of track and a few ramps to get down to the level at the end of this. But let's build it. You can try it, and if you don't like it, I'll show you the section you can take out and replace. Alright, so we have that, and then we're going to use a racetrack left. Stick that on the end like this, which gets them over to that end. And then we're going to put in the steep arch like this. 2 steep sections of track. Followed by this. Alright, and then a medium section. And then another steep bowed section for a little bit of a heel, which makes this a little more challenging. Except unlike the ones way down there at the bottom of that big turn, this is a very narrow one, so it's a little less forgiving. If you don't hit this square on, you're probably going to go flying. Alright, and then a long track, and then racetrack right to bring this back over. Okay. And then on this end, up here, for this one, we're going to put the down ramp right away, unlike the one that's over there. So 2 of these, followed by the bowed section, and that gets us down to the same level as that over on the other side. And then because that section, making that turn and this down ramp is so challenging, we give them a little bit of a reprieve here and a nice straight section. Try to recover if they can, if they need to, before we hit them with another little ramp that's going to mirror what's on the other side. And this is lined up directly across from there. Okay, and then a long track followed by a medium, followed by the racetrack split, and then we come down to the wide section again. And we pop that in there like that, which gets these back into one path. And then a long wide section here, followed by our split. At this point, we stay with the thinner sections of track. Okay, so track ramp curve right, followed by a racetrack, followed by another ramp, which gets us down there, followed by another racetrack. And these are just giving the player an opportunity to recover and come out of that turn, like the other one up there, to come out of the turn somewhat square. And that's important because we're going to give them one last obstacle here, and that's going to be another steep little bow section here, kind of a speed bump. All right, and if we did it all correctly, hopefully this will line up with the, let's see, supposed to be a medium. I don't think a medium's going to fit here. And we are a little bit off. I think I need a ramp in here. Hold on a second. Arch. Oh, I see. Yeah, okay, so steep, steep, and steep. These are the two wrong pieces here. This is just the regular arch, followed by the flat ramp. Here we go. Followed by the bowed. And now the medium piece should fit in here. Phew. I was a little worried that I had an error somewhere along the way, and I was like, oh no. Fortunately, I didn't have to back up too far. All right, so there is the entire track. And now let's add in a little bit of terrain here. So let's pick this up, put it back. Connect this up over here. Followed by another small floating cliff on this side. Like that. Followed by this, which will go here. And then on the other end, This is going to sit on the corner like that. That will sit in there. That comes over there. Oops, this section is going to sit out over here like this, followed by our huge wide floating cliff. Like that. And then we pick this piece up and just fill in some of the terrain around the perimeter here. And there we go. There is that. That's our little starting island. And then the last bit of terrain we need to put down is for the figure 8 down over here. Because again, we need a little bit of help with this. Alright, so we have a seam in the racetrack right here. And this is where we're going to put in our terrain. It's going to line up with that. So I want to start with this small terrain corner. We're going to go over 1, 2 nudges to the right like that. This is going to go into there like that, except that doesn't look like what I have. Oh wait, okay, sorry. Going down on this side of that terrain. That racetrack seam. There we go. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So it's going to sit in here like this. And then those 2 blocks will go under there like that. And another one on this side like that. This is going to sit on this side. And as you can see, we're just kind of adding in a little bit of extra terrain on the edges here to help make this easier to drive, so that they don't have to take that turn precisely. All right, and then, yeah, one on either side. One on that side and one on that side. There we go. So 3 of those total. We'll come back over here, add a couple of those in, like that. Okay. I was looking at my screenshot and I kind of messed myself up. Alright, so then we're going to put in 3 of these. 1, 2, 3 on either side. 1, 2, 3. that. Okay, so that makes those turns a little bit wider. As you saw when I drove this, it was still tricky, but at least if you're not looking directly at the track and you're just kind of driving, you can kind of take that at somewhat of a nice, easy angle. But if you come through here and you try to cross over, which is what I was trying to do because I put a weapon generator in the middle of the figure 8 there, and you try to cross over this way, that makes it a little tricky. Okay, so that is it for the racetrack and the terrain. And at this point, I'm going to go offline and add a few plants and speed boost pads and weapon generators, and then I'll come back and show you the final result, and we'll hook up the last little bit of logic that we need to do for this, and we'll be all done. All right, I am back, and let me give you a quick flyover to show you what I've done. Feel free to pause this video along the way so you can copy what I've got. So on the starting island up here, I have dropped down a plant, and again, this is out of the first 9 plants out of the customizable plants section of the plants drawer. That should be turned the other way. I picked it up just so I could show you, but so these, of course, are the first 9 plants out of the plants drawer, and you can see their orientations. These are also out of the plants drawer. They're from the Toy Story in Space. You can see which ones I've used. Again, they're out of the plants drawer. As are these little things. And just put those in for little bits of decoration. And if you don't put down the exact same plants that I've got, put down whatever you like. Doesn't really matter. This is out of the buildings drawer. It's the combat simulator. And then I also put down a row of these party cannons out of the gameplay toys. There's 5 on each side of the track. The start pad I moved up here from down below, and I deleted that piece of terrain that we started with at the bottom section there. I'll come back to the Creativa toys shortly. This little thing here is something I built with basic blocks. So this is just the long block right off the end of the racetrack start piece there. And I styled this to use, if I scroll over here real quick, it's the Charming Checkered Glitter. And that's centered right over the racetrack, and then I use some of these ramps. Long wedges on each side out of the blocks drawer with the same theme. And these ramp pieces. And the upside down ramp there. Okay? That just adds a nice decorative finish to the racetrack, similar to what you see, the kind of arches you see in Rainbow Road. Alright, and then let me just give you a quick run through the track here and show you what I have placed and where. So the first weapon generators are down here off of the end of the big turn. There's 3 of them. Again, these are out of the Creativa toys. And to activate them, you need to go into the properties and turn on auto spawn pickups. And I placed one right here in the middle of the figure 8. That's the diabolical one, because to get that, you've got to cross here and make this sharp turn. If you don't want to do that, there's 2 more out here. And I chose not to place any right now here. You could if you wanted to. Up here are 2 speed boost pads. These are out of the Racetrack Toys. Racetrack Pieces drawer. Notice which way those arrows are facing. And then at the top of the ramp we have 3 more weapon generators on that little flat section here. And then, oops, we go all the way up the ramp. And there's nothing, of course, on the ramp or at the top of the ramp. And the next weapon generators are actually over here. Oh, and to help with this, I put in these little railings here, because I notice sometimes it can be a little tricky not to fly off the edge of that. So these ESPN railings out of the sports toys, I put those along this section of track here on both sides of the track, on both sides over here as well, just to help when they come off the end of this thing. And then 2 weapon generators down here. You can kind of see how they're oriented on that long, wide track. Okay, so that's what I did there. And then I put down a trigger area here. And you'll notice it comes all the way to here and all the way up there. And notice how high it is in case the player jumps off the end of that ramp. I want to make sure they hit this trigger area. Underneath, I have a level starter and a counter. I've got another trigger area stretched across here with a firework cannon. This is out of the Gameplay Toys drawer, or fireworks cannon. It's connected to a locator out over there on the left. I'll show you those in a moment. On this side we have a firework cannon centered or connected to a locator that's centered on the track. This one is on the right side over here. And those locators, I just did a new locator connection on the firework cannons. You can see how they're oriented here, about where they are, and about how high up they are. So they're not very high. Notice too where the little blue dot is facing on the locators. That's kind of important. Because otherwise you won't see the fireworks properly. You'll see them at an angle or head on the side or something. Alright, so that's what we have there. And the logic here is pretty straightforward. It's mainly to know when to launch off these grand finale cannons at the end of the race, and to launch off the fireworks up here on laps 2 and 3, just to give you something different to happen on laps 2 and 3. So first thing I want to do is come over to the level starter, do a new logic connection on Catalyze. We're going to disable the first trigger area here. Deactivate it, so that when you start up the toy box, that'll be deactivated by default, and when you drive through there on the first lap, you won't see the fireworks. Second thing this trigger area will do is a new logic connection. Now when entered by player any, doesn't matter who crosses there first or which player, we're going to come over to our trigger area over here and turn it on. All right. So as soon as the first player, whoever it is, ends up approaching the finish line to start lap 2, we'll turn that trigger area on. And the second thing this trigger area will do is a new logic connection when entered by player 1. And this is key because I can't do it on player any and have this work right. On player 1, we're going to come over to our counter and increment the counter by 1. And this is counting the number of laps. If you wanted to, you could have another counter for player 2, and another one for player 3, and another one for player 4, and increment those, but you get the idea. On the counter, the target count is 3 because we have 3 laps. We're going to turn off the visible display. We're going to turn on the auto reset. Okay? All right, and then on the counter, everything else is driven off of this for the end of the race. So, new logic connection. When the target is reached, we want to come over and deactivate this trigger area again over here for the start of the next race in case they want to replay it. On the counter, a new logic connection. When the target is reached, we want to come over to each of these party cannons and do grand finale. Make that same connection for the other 9 party cannons. Okay? And that's it for the counter. And I put a trigger up here just for testing purposes. Shouldn't need it, but you can do a new logic connection when stepped on by any. You can come over here and reset the counter. I turned on the auto reset, so it should automatically do that. But if you abort the race or something, you'll need a way to reset the counter. And this will do that. And this should probably, when stepped on by any, also disable this trigger area. Alright, and on the trigger area here, we want to activate the fireworks. So a new logic connection when entered by player any. This one, which is the one on the left, we're going to come down and do the crosette. And I'm going to make mine green. You can do any fireworks you want. This is what I'm doing with mine. And on the trigger area, new logic connection when entered by player any. For the one in the middle, which is the one in front here. The one back here, rather. We're going to do a large star. And I'm going to make it orange. And on the trigger area, new logic connection when entered by player any. The final firework cannon, the one that's on the right, we'll have that one do a chrysanthemum. And we'll do yellow. And that's it for the logic. It's mainly just so you have some fireworks on laps 2 and 3. And so you got the grand finale cannons when you cross the finish line. Oh, and one more thing you'll want to do is style these trees. So go into the styling menu for these and just style them using Toy Story terrain. And I will theme all. Are you sure? Yes. And there's not many to do, so that won't take very long. And at this point, after you finish hooking up all those party cannons, you can save your toy box, and then you're ready to race. And that's it for the Rainbow Road track. It's one of the easiest tracks to build, and I hope you'll enjoy it. I should have a preview trailer very soon for my next series, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, thank you again for watching and for helping my channel reach this amazing milestone. Before you go, leave a comment and let me know what you think of my Rainbow Road track, and if you plan to build it. And be sure to like and subscribe for more Disney Infinity videos like this. That's all for me today. Take care.